You've tried the calorie deficit. You've tried cutting carbs. You've even tried those brutal HIIT workouts everyone swears by. And yet, that belly fat is still there, quietly refusing to leave. Here's something that might surprise you. The Nordic countries, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, consistently rank among the happiest, healthiest populations on Earth. And they're not doing it through extreme discipline. They're doing it by making their nervous systems feel safe, almost constantly, and that, it turns out, is the missing piece in the belly fat conversation: cortisol. Here's what almost nobody explains properly. Chronic cortisol elevation isn't just caused by obvious stress like work deadlines or bad news. It's caused by an environment that never lets your nervous system fully exhale. Harsh lighting, constant noise, non-stop stimulation, a culture that glorifies busyness as a badge of honor. The Nordic countries built an entire way of life that pushes back against exactly that. Not through willpower, through environment and ritual. Here are the 5 habits behind it. Step 1. Friluftsliv. It roughly translates to open-air living, and it's less a hobby and more a cultural expectation across Norway and the wider Nordic region. Regardless of weather, being outside, in nature, regularly, isn't optional. It's assumed. There's even a well-known saying, there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. Here's the physiology behind it. Dr. Ching Li's research on inlets known as forest bathing found that time spent in natural, green environments significantly lowers cortisol levels and reduces sympathetic nervous system activity compared to time spent in urban settings. Cold, fresh air exposure specifically has also been linked in Scandinavian studies to improved mood regulation through increased norepinephrine release, without the corresponding spike in stress hormones you'd expect from other forms of cold exposure. So here's how you apply it. Get outside daily, regardless of weather. Not for exercise, just for exposure. Your nervous system reads consistent time in nature as a signal of safety. And safety is what turns off fat storage mode. Step 2. Lagom. This Swedish word doesn't translate cleanly into English, but the closest meaning is just the right amount. Not too much, not too little. It's a cultural resistance to extremes, in food, in work, in possessions, in emotion. Chronic overconsumption and chronic restriction are both forms of nervous system stress, and Lagom sits deliberately in the middle. Research on satisfaction and stress from Stockholm University found that people who reported living according to sufficiency values, rather than maximizing or minimizing everything, had measurably lower baseline cortisol and reported significantly less anxiety around daily decisions. Applied to eating specifically, this means neither binging nor restricting, just eating a moderate, satisfying amount and stopping. Not because a rule told you to, because you actually feel done. That single shift, removing the extremes, removes an enormous amount of chronic low-grade stress your body has been carrying without you realizing it. Step 3. Hygge. This Danish concept has become somewhat trendy online, usually reduced to candles and blankets, but the actual mechanism behind it is far more interesting. Hygge is about deliberately creating an environment of warmth, softness, and safety. Dim lighting instead of harsh overhead lights, soft textures, slower conversation, no rush. Denmark consistently ranks among the top countries globally for reported life satisfaction, and researchers studying Danish well-being have pointed to Hygge practices as a contributing factor to lower chronic stress markers. Here's the mechanism. Harsh, bright lighting and high stimulation environments keep your sympathetic nervous system, your alert system, engaged even when nothing is actually wrong. Soft lighting and slower environments allow your parasympathetic system, rest and digest, to actually take over. Applying this doesn't require redecorating your entire home. It means, in the evening specifically, dimming the lights, slowing down the pace of your environment, and letting your nervous system understand that the day's alert phase is over. Step 4. Fika. In Sweden, Fika is a structured coffee break, but calling it just a coffee break undersells it completely. It's a scheduled pause, usually mid-morning and mid-afternoon, where work fully stops, and people actually sit, and talk, without checking phones or continuing to work while drinking. Swedish workplace research has found that structured, phone-free breaks like Fika are associated with lower, reported burnout and better sustained focus throughout the workday compared to constant, ungoverned working with sporadic unstructured breaks. The mechanism here connects back to something we've covered before. Chronic low-grade stress from never fully stopping keeps cortisol elevated throughout the entire day, even during moments that look like breaks if you're still mentally working through them. A real Fika means the break is actually a break. 20 minutes, phone away, full stop, then back to work. Step 5. Sisu-adjacent resilience, applied calmly. While Sisu itself is specifically Finnish, referring to a kind of quiet, gritty perseverance, the broader Nordic cultural approach to hardship shares a common thread, facing difficulty with steady calm rather than panic or dramatic reaction. This matters more for cortisol than people realize. It's not the difficulty itself that spikes your stress hormones the most. It's how much emotional alarm you add on top of the difficulty. Research on emotional regulation and cortisol reactivity has consistently shown that people who respond to stressors with calm acceptance, rather than catastrophizing, show significantly smaller and shorter cortisol spikes than people who react with heightened alarm to the same stressor. This isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about facing a hard moment, a deadline, a setback, a difficult conversation, with steady presence instead of escalating panic. Practically, this means pausing before reacting, taking one slow breath, and asking yourself, what does this situation actually require right now, rather than immediately spiraling into worst-case thinking. So let's bring it all together. 5 habits. Get outside daily, regardless of weather. Practice Lagom, moderate amounts, not extremes. Build Hygge into your evenings. Soft lighting, slower pace. Take a real Fika, phone away, full stop, and face hard moments with steady calm instead of alarm. None of these require a gym membership or a strict meal plan. They require you to build an environment and a mindset where your nervous system genuinely feels safe. Because that safety is exactly what tells your body doesn't need to store fat for a threat that isn't actually there. If this changed the way you think about stress and environment, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want more science-backed cultural habits like this. And drop a comment telling me which of these 5 habits you're going to try first. I'll see you in the next one.